What's up, losers? Today I'm back with another r/fatlogic fiesta. Checking out a couple of spicy fat acceptance posts and sharing my responses to them. This is episode 112 in the fatlogic series. And I'm ready to be overwhelmed by some undeniable fat activist brilliance. So without further ado, let's get into it.
First, there are many reasons why people are fat. But even if every single fat person on earth were fat, solely as a result of personal choice, we would still not deserve oppression. People will hear how fat folks literally die because doctors abuse and mistreat us, and will say, well, they brought this upon themselves. We're eating food, not committing war crimes. Calm down.
Even war crimes aren't punished as hard as being fat is. Good Lord, will the dramatics ever end? These people really are just obsessed with pumping up their supposed victimhood beyond all reasonable measure, and I don't know about anyone else, but I'm getting awfully tired of it. Nobody ever, and I mean ever, said that eating food, or being fat, was comparable to committing war crimes. In any way, there have never been, and never will be, trials, imprisonment, and execution of fat people on the basis of their weight or eating habits. And the idea that society treats the two things as similarly severe moral transgressions is utterly farcical. Like, seriously, get a fricking grip. It is a sad reality of the world we live in that war crimes are often difficult to prosecute. And I fully understand that many war criminals do, in fact, evade punishment for the atrocities that they commit, thanks to international diplomatic gridlock. But this is not something that people rejoice in. It is a source of immense frustration and understandable moral outcry for goofy fat activists to take advantage of this regrettable state of affairs. To try to bolster their lame assertions of victimhood is honestly just infuriating. Furthermore, outside of very rare exceptions that would rightly be condemned by the medical community and society as a whole, doctors do not abuse and mistreat their fat patients. They might make mistakes sometimes, or fall short of the standards of care that we should expect from them. And it is fair to raise complaints when such oversights take place. But they are not out here, deliberately or maliciously, abusing fat people, just for the sake of their own amusement. This is simply a fat activist fantasy. And I'm sick of seeing it irresponsibly parroted around, as if it's anything more than that. When people say that fat people brought it upon themselves with regard to medical issues, they are not justifying patient abuse. They are simply noting that if one consistently ignores their doctor's advice and refuses to implement the dietary suggestions, they cannot then blame the doctor for failing to help them, because they were not open to being helped. Should we rub fat people's medical problems in their faces just because these problems were foreseeable? Absolutely not. We should still show them compassion and do our best to assist them in their time of need. But we are not doing them any good by lying to them and telling them that it wasn't their fault. It was their doctors, because that will only reinforce their view that it's not them that needs to change. It's everyone else, i.e. the same view that got them into this mess in the first place. And for what it's worth, it's not fair to the doctor either. They're just doing the job. And they don't deserve to be painted as Satan incarnate for failing to help people who refuse to listen to their advice. So basically, take some responsibility, and let's turn this ship around. Okay, cool.
Photos of thin people demonstrating their thinness by drowning in plus-size clothes are offensive, triggering, and thoughtless, not to mention that you have effectively destroyed a very valuable thrift find for a plus-size person. Do you have any idea how hard it is to find plus-size clothes secondhand? Transformation and creativity are meaningless when they are used to reinforce oppression and inequality.
I hear you, and I appreciate your opinion. If you look at my work,
The before photos are mostly all medium-sized clothing. If it's a larger size, it's bought brand new, and when I see a cute plus-size clothing, that's cute as is, I leave it alone, so others that can appreciate it and wear it, has a chance to buy it. And even when buying sizes that are not considered plus size, I'd only buy clothes that are so outdated, that no one will wear it as is. I am grateful for people like you, who speak for many others, who think the same way, so that I can be more open-minded and understanding of a perspective outside my own.
Wow, credit to the second person in this exchange. That response was a hell of a lot nicer and more charitable than what I would have offered up in their place. Frankly, I think it's better than what the first commenter deserved. So I guess I'll share how I would have responded. Just for fun. Thin people wearing oversized clothes are not necessarily demonstrating their thinness. Maybe they just find those types of clothes more comfortable. Or maybe they're self-conscious about their body, and don't like wearing clothes that hug their form too tightly. Or maybe the item they wanted wasn't available in their size, and they just had to make do. There's a whole bunch of reasons why someone might want to wear clothes that are a few sizes too big for them. And the reason you're assuming the worst about their motives is almost certainly because you're insecure and jealous, and you're looking for a reason to lash out. Nobody is entitled to their pick of the nice clothes being sold in thrift stores. Or anywhere else, for that matter. You are allowed to buy whatever you want, from what is available when you go in. And so is everyone else. If you go into a store, and can't find anything that you like, then that's a shame. It must just not be your lucky day. But you can always go to a different store, or come back another day and try again. And hopefully you'll find better fortune next time. This is the reality that everyone faces, regardless of their size. Because I don't know if you've ever considered this, but thin people don't always find nice clothes in their size either. Shocking, right? But it's true. Lastly, can we get a little perspective here, please? We're not talking about horrible, inhumane abuse of fat people here. We're literally just talking about you not getting to add all of the nice plus-size clothes in the world to your personal collection. The use of the word oppression is totally uncalled for, and all of this only reinforces my view that fat oppression really can't be the enormous social issue that fat activists seem to think it is. Because if it were, they sure as shit wouldn't have time to be getting their knickers in a twist over stuff as trivial as this, haha.
The first diet is like the first hit of a drug. The euphoria of weight loss. Little/no consequences, and everyone's approval. But we know where this leads. To a lifetime of failed, and increasingly dangerous, attempts to recreate that first experience.
Okay, so this one is pretty overly dramatic, and it's clearly intended to stir up fear about the dangers of dieting. Which, needless to say, I take issue with, because for lots of people, dieting is a necessary health intervention, and any risks associated with it are far outweighed by the dangers of doing nothing and staying fat. With that being said, though, I do think the post touches on something worth discussing, which is the unhealthy way some people approach dieting, and the problems that can develop out of early success based on shaky habitual foundations. So here are my thoughts. Going on a diet for the first time, and seeing quick results, can indeed be intoxicating for people, especially those with pre-existing body image issues, and this can cause people to develop a number of different problematic habits. For some people, as the fat activists are always gleefully waiting to point out, this can lead to the development of a long-term restrictive eating disorder, where people fixate on continuous weight loss, even beyond the point at which this becomes harmful to their body, and allow their restriction to take over their life. However, for just as many people, and possibly more. Early successes can lead people down the path that this post describes, of repeated diet failures. Each one a more desperate attempt to recapture what worked the first time than the last. The problem with the post, however, is that it doesn't examine what the root cause of all of this might be. It just declares that dieting dooms one to failure and misery, and leaves it at that. In reality, there could be various reasons why subsequent diet attempts failed where the first one, at least temporarily, succeeded. It could be that seeing results so easily gave people a sense of complacency that held them back from pursuing weight loss with the urgency that their situation should have warranted. On the other side of things, maybe the reversal of their initial gains made them feel hopeless, and led them to give up on their later efforts too early. Perhaps they tried to lose too much too fast, and burned themselves out, or perhaps they went shopping around for a new fad diet that, although not the right fit for them, gave them a hit of excitement that they couldn't get from just trying the same thing again. I guess what I'm saying here is, there are a whole bunch of reasons why people end up in a cycle of diet failure. And it will vary from person to person, but when you get right down to it, pretty much all of them arise from a failure to settle on a moderate, healthy, sustainable diet plan, and stick to it for the long haul. The takeaway from all of this should not be, then, that dieting is just not worth pursuing. It should be that we need to set reasonable, attainable goals for ourselves, and be willing to make permanent diet and lifestyle changes to achieve them. A history of diet failure should not discourage you from trying again. It should educate you on what can go wrong along the way, and what to do differently in your future efforts. So in summary, don't listen to this post. Dieting is not a drug. It can be done healthily and successfully. You just have to go about it the right way, not the easy way, or the way that is most tempting in the moment. Well, that's all I've got for you today. I hope you enjoyed the posts, and that you found my commentary at all entertaining or insightful. What do you think? Do fat people get punished worse than war criminals? Are thin people who buy plus-size clothes from thrift stores oppressors? Are we all destined to chase the euphoria of weight loss until the end of our days? Let me know in the comments. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe, or I'll sneak into your local thrift store in the dead of night, pilfer all of the best plus-size items, and use them to pitch a row of tents outside your house as a display of my overwhelming triumph. Just kidding, ha ha. Anyway, catch you later.